Just ahead on American Black Journal, an African-American cultural arts center in Detroit celebrates its 25th anniversary. I'll talk with the president of the Carr Center and its new artistic director, jazz great Geri Allen. Plus, we'll get details on a new effort to improve early childhood services in Detroit. Stay right there. American Black Journal starts now.
American Black Journal is funded by the W.K. Kellogg Foundation, a partner with communities where children come first.
How does diversity bring energy to us all? At DTE Energy, we believe that it's the contributions of all that build great communities. As a company, we grow stronger by welcoming the unique perspectives of everyone. As community members, we support our state's broad culture and heritage. From working closely with women and minority-owned suppliers to embracing our local cultures, DTE Energy is powering diversity. The DTE Energy Foundation is a proud sponsor of Detroit Public Television.
Welcome to American Black Journal. I'm Stephen Henderson. A leading creative hub for African-American cultural arts is celebrating its 25th anniversary. The Carr Center in downtown Detroit hosts performances, exhibitions, arts education classes, and other programs for more than 50,000 visitors a year. Recently, jazz pianist Geri Allen was named artistic director at the center. Detroit Public Television was there this summer to webcast a performance by Miss Allen. I'm pleased to have Geri Allen here today, along with the president of the Carr Center, Oliver Ragsdale Jr. Welcome to American Black Journal.
Thank you.
Yeah. So we were just sitting here enjoying your wonderful playing, and I asked you if it's strange for you to see yourself on camera. I know that's strange for me, but it really is just mind-blowing, the talent that you have and sort of how expressive it is. When you're playing.
Thank you so much.
It's just amazing.
And it is strange.
Yeah, you never quite get used to that, right?
Not quite.
Yeah. Oliver, take me back 25 years to when the Carr Center started and why.
We were in a room with Dawn Vest from Broadside Press and Donald Walden from Detroit Jazz Orchestra, Harry McTerry from Detroit Metropolitan Orchestra, Oseo Kauta from African Dance Philosophy, and we began to think about the needs of African American arts and artists and arts organizations and how we could come together and coalesce under the concept of a league to be able to help each other, support each other, together and grow from that. We started off supporting just organizations and eventually began to reach out into the community, doing education programs, then concerts, and now the facility.
Yeah. When you started, talk about the sort of environment for African American arts at that time in the city and how necessary it was to sort of find a place that could.
Well, you know, there had been a resurgence after the National Endowments of the Arts started in the late 60s in the Black Arts Movement. And it has surged, and the city had been a very catalytic piece to that activity happening. And then in the early 90s, arts were taken away, the funding for arts were taken away at the state of Michigan during that recession. And so the coming together was a way of us beginning to try to hold each other up. And work together, and the outcome has been 25 years, more than 1 million people visiting or taking classes or being in a concert. So it's worked.
Yeah,
Struggled,
and
but worked.
It's such an array of things that you're offering people. I mean, you can go there for all kinds of different stuff.
One of the things that we recognized was that all of the disciplines within the arts community needed to be represented. You know, all of them were at the table: literature, jazz, classical, vocal music, classical music, were all represented. So we had to keep it that way and have continued to do that. Visual arts became a part of our sort of mantra in the early 90s, and now we're a multidisciplinary arts center.
Yeah, and now you have a wonderful new artistic director.
We have been blessed. You know, when we moved into the Carr Center, we had Marcus Belgrave as our resident creative artist, Geri's mentor, and in essence, we were able to get Geri to step into Marcus's steps at a larger scale.
Yeah. So talk about, as artistic director, what that role looks like, I guess, now, and what you hope to do at the center.
Well, thank you. I come behind Marcus with great humility because, of course, what he has contributed to the city for many decades. I'm just gingerly, you know, walking into this wonderful opportunity. So we're really following in the tradition of what Marcus had established in many ways, this idea of young people being a driving force and really wanting to focus on that continuing of that handing down of the tradition in the way that the Donald Waldens and all these great musicians of Detroit have so generously done. The idea for this period is to bring Detroiters in, people like Didi Bridgewater, who we have this week, who hails from Flint, which is very much a Michigander and a very staunch Michigander, who wanted to come in and work with young people and do a wonderful concert at the end of the week of events. We also have another Flint native, Brianna Ali, who has Tapology, a fantastic young tap dancer who was actually on Broadway just recently with Shuffle Along. That was just, I guess it just went down just about a month ago. But so she's right on the cusp of everything that's going on with dance. So she'll be with us. And we have a fantastic printmaker, Michael Kelly Williams, who will also come very soon, I think in March. So the idea is, as you were saying, Oliver, having all of the arts kind of feeding off of each other, and it really does create a creative kind of energy between all of the different aspects.
You're a familiar name in not just jazz music, but music generally. Talk about your story. Like, how did you come to be interested in the work that you do and what it means to you now?
Well, thank you. My father, Mount Allen, and my mom raised both my brother and I to be kind of really interested in the arts. And so they supported my piano lessons for 10 years throughout elementary school. And I met Marcus along the way. When I went to high school at Cass, a woman, Marilyn Jones, invited Marcus as a community, one of our great community musicians, to come into the school. So through him, I was introduced to the Detroit music scene, and I had leadership to take me through that process of learning to be a jazz musician and having the support of this community.
And it's a really rich community to sort of grow up in.
It really is.
The number of people, the number of the sort of broad spectrum of talents is always really impressive to me on that jazz scene just here in Detroit, and that's been true for decades.
For decades, and Detroiters have made, you know, international contributions on people like Hank Jones and the Jones brothers. We can just go through a list of Ron Carter.
Regina Carter.
Yeah, contemporary people as well. So you're right. It's a huge, you know, source of pride, I think, for all of us.
And I think that we're trying to continue in the next generation. We have a group of young people now who are in that 22 to 35 year range who are now doing things. We had a great master class with Dee Dee Bridgewater, and we had young singers who had the opportunity to intimately work with Dee Dee. We have the young jazz musicians, and then we have the younger kids. And when the last big concert that we did together with Marcus, we had 4 generations of musicians from Geri's generation and one above her down to where we had a high school student in the band playing. So we want to keep that going, and it fits in with our mission of preservation as well as development.
When you're at the center and you see these, you know, multi-generational sort of interest and talent showing up, what does that tell you about the city? I sort of always ask people, what are you thinking about Detroit and where it is? And from the seat where you sit, what does that look like? What does the future look like?
Well, I think that the most significant thing I can say is Detroit is a unique canvas, and Detroit is blessed with a lot of great paint.
That's a wonderful way to put it.
The way that we try to look at it is we want to create community and let that community grow and develop. As you know from being in the center, we work real hard at it being warm and comfortable, and not your traditional staid art building.
It doesn't feel like a museum or something like that. It does feel like a community center.
And that was sort of the idea. If we could have high quality art, the hybrid of high quality art and community center to come together, that is what really works. And when Geri and I first started talking, we began to talk about the tradition of the community centers as part of what had happened here. Concept East, the Metropolitan
Jazz Development Workshop.
Jazz Development Workshop, all of those things happening. We're the first one that's sort of institutionalized, and have gotten into the establishment kind of mode. But that history and that tradition is so important, and it just fits within the African American cultural tradition just in general. We happen to do art.
Yes. But art is, I always say, one of the most important parts of not just culture, but city.
We think it's the most important.
Of course. Yes. All right. Well, congratulations on 25 years.
Well, thank you
Here's
so
to
much.
at least 25 more.
We're looking forward
and
to it.
congratulations to you on the new
Thank you so
job.
much.
Yes. Thanks for being here, both of you.